What's up, you guys? We are back with another video. My name is Crystal Denitra, and this is Truth TV Podcast. Today, I'm going to share just a little bit of my DV slash narc surviving story. I created this panel for people to be able to come on here and tell their stories and not be shamed. I'm just going to read a little bit about my about page on YouTube if you guys have not checked it out. But in the description box, it says, "Greetings, truth seekers and tellers. This channel is designed to be a safe space for all survivors of all types to not be victimized by our stories and testimonies and to be able to help and heal each other. This is a no shaming, anti bullying platform that would allow us to be expressive in our survival stories. Please feel free to email us your stories if you would like us to share them on our platform. If you wish to remain anonymous, that is totally fine, as we want you to be as comfortable as possible. Let's heal together as we navigate this thing called life. Please like, share, subscribe, and grow with us. If you would like to donate to support our mission, please feel free to do so, as your contributions are greatly appreciated. Our Cash App is Denitra. Thank you guys for all of your support in advance." So I created this page for survivors of all type. I'm just gonna say for DV and Narc survivors, this is probably like one of the toughest things that we have to do is tell our stories. And people don't like people who tell the truth. I'm just gonna be honest. For some reason, people don't like victims. People don't like people that have a story and that went through something. It's like other people always try to challenge us and make it seem like we're lying or not telling the truth. But I don't know anybody who would lie about being abused. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to create a safe space for us to be able to share our stories and to be able to help heal each other, because that's the ultimate goal. The pandemonium has caused a lot of mental illness in people. I know that for a fact, because it's just like when we watch the news and stuff now, it's so much more going on than it was before. And that's because people have lost jobs, they've lost businesses and things like that. So it has caused like an uproar in people's mental. And I know, as far as being in the Black community, a lot of us don't believe in therapy. Therapy is such a taboo. When people mention therapy, they automatically assume that something is wrong. Well, obviously something is wrong, but I feel that therapy helps. It has definitely helped me to kind of get over the things that I've been through. And I don't feel that people should look at therapy as a taboo. Talking to someone with an unbiased opinion, not someone that can always help out, because they can give you things and let you see things in a different light. So those are just a couple things that I wanted to put out there. But I don't want any of my viewers, my listeners, my subscribers to feel ashamed about anything that they've been through. I think this is the toughest thing that I've ever had to do in my life, is actually be real with myself and be real with other people and being comfortable and sharing, because I see so much online bullying, like even with the Meg Thee Stallion case. I'll just share my thoughts on it. Regardless of who she slept with, or, who she dated, none of that matters. The fact remains is that she was injured by somebody. And I personally think that the verdict was what it needed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's like so many people on the internet trying to downplay her, trying to talk about her and just put her down. But that's what happens in our society, is like the victim is not victorious. And I don't consider myself a victim. I tell people all the time, I'm a survivor of many things, many challenges I had to face. And I'm just thankful that I'm still here to be able to tell a story about it. Like I said, this is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And God just keep pushing me to talk and speak and speak. But, I know I'm going to lose some people, with being honest, because I grew up in the era of secrets. I grew up in the 80s where stuff like talking on a podcast is like, how do you say the word, forbidden. And it's taken me a long time to get out of my shell, but some things just need to be said. So here goes nothing. I will share back in 2020, I was dating a gentleman. All the red flags were there, but I think because I was lonely at the time, just being divorced for like 3 or 4 years, trying to figure this whole thing out of, going from two incomes to one, even being on government assistance, just trying to navigate life and trying to be able to take care of my kids. I was at a vulnerable state and I let someone in that I shouldn't have. Like I said, the signs were there for me not to be with this person, but because I was lonely and I just wanted someone there, I kind of went with it. He wasn't even really that physically attractive to me, but again, I just went with it. But one particular time we were riding in the car and he always used to bring up other women. That was his way of kind of being like verbally and emotionally abusive for me to have like a reactive abuse kind of reaction. And he was always bringing up other women. So this particular time we were in the car, he was drinking and I wasn't. And he started talking about his exes and how he can go back to them at any time. And, I'm the type of person, I'm just going to listen to you. At first, I'm not going to react unless it gets really out of hand. So I guess since I wasn't giving him the reaction that he wanted to argue and act a fool like him, I just end up getting out the car. He had slowed down. I jumped out the car. Next thing I know, he put his car in reverse, came towards me and just jumped on my back and just started hitting me like out of nowhere. So we wrestling and tussling. He got me down on the ground and just started kicking me in the head, kicking me, punching me and doing all of this, pulling out hair. So I remember running a couple feet away. I had dropped my cell phone and everything in the middle of the street. Somebody was riding past and I kind of signaled them to help me. But again, with survivors and abuse, people don't want to get involved, especially if it's like a domestical situation. So the gentleman just rolled past like I wasn't even asking for help. So I must have passed out because I woke up in the woods. And when I woke up, there was a gentleman taking his dog out. I remember his porch light was on and I ran up in this man's house, y'all. When I say I ran up in this man's house, I ran up in this man's house. So of course he was looking at me like I was crazy, but I knew I needed help and I didn't want the offender to come back. So of course that was my safety net at that time. So I was trying to explain to the gentleman what happened. He saw all the bruises, me bleeding, patches of hair pulled out. So he called his girlfriend from the back to assist. I kind of caught my breath and was able to tell them what happened. And, they gave me assistance from there. But like I said before, the signs were there. I just ignored the red flags. I just, kind of went with it because I was lonely at the time and I just wanted a friend, but I knew he wasn't the right one. And that was our first time, when he did something like that. But there were other times, but that was the most important. At the time, I wanted to save him because what do we do as abuse victims? We always try to save the abuser. I didn't call the police or anything that day. I kind of waited for a while and then I still never pressed charges, but I did end up getting a restraining order on them. But out of all the abuse that I endured from different relationships, I always never called the police on the person. I always tried to save them and spare them because I never want to see a black man in jail. Just like I said with the Meg Thee Stallion case, she probably wrestled with the fact of reaching out to authorities, but at a point, it's like, what do you do? What do we do to protect ourselves? We have to do something to protect ourselves, especially when people can just feel like they can do whatever they want to do to us and we don't have any protection. So that's one instance. I've been in several. Like I told you guys before, I was married for 14 years and my abuse with my ex-husband started before we got married. He was drinking one time at a friend's house, got a little bit too drunk, The friend called me to tell me to, hey, your husband over here acting a fool. I don't want nothing in my house to get tore up or whatever. So I come over there. I come to get him. We walking back across the street to our apartment at the time. And when we got in, I said, "What are you doing? What are you doing over there? Just kind of fussing him out, but I'm not in his face or pointing or acting a fool. I'm just talking to him." And I guess that just set him on fire. Like next thing I knew, I was up against the wall. He kept banging my head against the wall. I lifted my finger up to try to get his hands from around my head, but then end up breaking my pinky finger. So still, even in that instance, I never called the police. I just, stood my ground and tried to basically fight him. But that's not something that I ever wanted to do. I never wanted to be put in those types of positions. Nobody does. And I felt helpless. I felt helpless. I felt that I didn't have any protection. I felt like the person that I loved was, you know, wrongdoing me, and I just didn't understand why. But that alcohol definitely plays a part in people's behavior, and it just seems like out of all the instances I've had, the DV instances I've had, they were all drunk. And so it's just like a complete turnoff for me these days. If I'm meeting someone to date them and they're a heavy drinker, I don't care if they can handle the liquor or not. I would just prefer not to be around it, because it's like PTSD. You don't know if that person's going to flip out at any moment. You don't know if that person's going to have a personality change. And speaking of that, going back to that first incident, I knew this person had a mental illness. They told me that they were schizophrenic. But me being such the empathic person that I am, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt, even though I know I shouldn't do that. But, people who have mental illnesses, they need love too. So that's how I always looked at things. Like, why not try to show this person love or give this person love? But sometimes you just can't do that because you're putting yourself in harm's way. And I didn't realize the magnitude of his mental illness until it was too late. But to find myself passed out somewhere in a ditch on a dark street, no street lights, and actually getting passed out, I could have been unalive from that situation. And I just didn't realize how detrimental, you know, um, I didn't realize how detrimental me staying in that situation was. I grew up seeing abuse. I grew up, seeing my parents fight. I grew up. So all of these things I thought was love. And it's taken me 40 years to realize that that's not love. So if there's anybody out there that has gone through anything like that, just know that that's not love. Love is supposed to be kind. Love is supposed to be loyal. Love is not supposed to make you feel like you're in competition with, other women when you're in a relationship with somebody. Love is supposed to be gentle. Love doesn't have any scars. So that's really what I had to teach myself. I'm still learning it to this day. Um, I have a lot of anxiety. Some days I'm depressed. Some days I don't even want to get out of bed and take a shower, brush my teeth, and do all the things, just normal hygiene things because of that PTSD. And really, y'all, I stay in the house as much as I can because it's just not safe. These fools out here is crazy. And once again, I'm not male bashing. I'm only telling my side of the story. Since I've only dated men, I can only tell you about what men have done to me. But I do know some friends that have had their women jump on them, and their women were abusive. And, I always told my male friends in those situations to not take it physical with them. Just do whatever you can to get the woman off of you, but to not physically harm her. And sometimes that's hard to do. But a lot of situations I literally had to fight myself out of. And it was hard to do at the time, but I knew I needed to survive for myself and my kids. That's all I kept thinking about. I have been stressed to the point where I've passed out in cars. People have found me. I was dating another gentleman, and he wasn't physically abusive, but he was very verbally abusive. Like, he just had my nerves on 10 all the time, and I just couldn't understand why I kept having anxiety attacks. I didn't even know what was happening to my body. I just knew that once I got around him, like, I would just start shaking uncontrollably. I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything. One time we were walking in the Cold Stone, and he was talking about I don't even remember what his conversation was, but I just know that I didn't like the conversation. My body was reacting. I was having an anxiety attack. And as soon as we walked in Cold Stone, I passed out. So these are real instances, of my surviving story. How I'm surviving now is just a lot of prayer, like prayer and meditation, just turning my phone off, turning the TV off, not doing social media, like really listening to what God has to tell me. But I feel like once I got these people out of my life, life has been so much better. Although I still go through my bouts with anxiety and depression, um, I just feel better about myself, and I know what signs to look for. Like I said, I'm a true empath. Like, when people tell me bad things, my body just aches for people. Like, I feel so sorry for people. And most of the time, narcs recognize that. They recognize who their victims could be. They recognize who they can get over on certain things. So we just have to really be aware. I would say dating advice, really get to know that person. Some people have that, what is it, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality. Like, they're one way one day and then they're another way another day. So we just really have to be careful and really get to know people for who they are. We can't change people. Sometimes we get in relationships hoping that we can change people, but we really can't. They have to want to change from them for themselves. And one thing I learned is, when someone constantly ridicules you and talks about you and puts you down, they're coming from a place of, number one, jealousy. Because like I said in my previous videos, narcs always want to mirror the person that they're with. They know you're a good person. They know you're a star just shining, and they try to take your shine. And we just can't allow them to do it. I've learned so much over these past couple years from being divorced and just dating different men and having different relationships, that I'm very careful about everything that I do, because I don't want to find myself back in those situations. People cannot control their emotions these days. And 9 times out of 10, that's why people make rash decisions. That's why people end up in jail, because they let their emotions take over. So I just really want us to start going to therapy and knowing that nothing is wrong with therapy. That doesn't mean that you're crazy because you need to sit down and speak to someone, even if you have to get on medication. That doesn't mean that you're crazy. That just means that you have something that needs to be fixed. It's the same thing if you break your arm, you're going to go to the doctor or the hospital and get a cast on. Sometimes we need cast on our mind, and therapy is the way to do it. And we just have to be encouraged to know that things won't always last. And the people that are the abusers, they have the karma that's coming to them is something that can't be stopped. So again, I just wanted to get on here and just share a couple of my stories. I'll be sharing more as we go. The more comfortable I get. Um, And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, or if there's a specific topic that you want to talk about, you can email us at truth.tvpodcast@gmail. You can follow us on Instagram at Truth TV Podcast. I'm asking that you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Um, we're going to talk about different issues, and I want people to come on the panel and share their stories. You don't have to, you can remain anonymous. I don't have to show your name, your face, or anything like that, but I just want us to all heal and grow together, because mental illness is something that's very important. And 9 times out of 10, when someone has a mental illness, it's because of some kind of trauma that they went through. So just know that you guys are not in this alone. I stand with you guys, and we are still surviving this thing. So until next time, peace.